Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're tackling something that's also, well, nothing. We're talking about the number zero. And believe it or not, it's a story about how the idea of nothing became the invisible force that shapes pretty much everything. So let's dive in.
Okay, so to really get why zero is such a big deal, let's start with a little thought experiment. This is a puzzle, by the way, that stumped brilliant minds for centuries. Ready? Just take a second and think about it. How would you write the number 301 if you weren't allowed to use a zero? So, what'd you come up with? Maybe leave a space? Like 3 space 1? That seems logical, right? But see, that's where the problem starts immediately. How big is that space? Is that 301 or is it 3001? You see the issue? Without a real symbol for that empty spot, basic stuff like accounting was just a total mess. It was clumsy, it was confusing, and, it was just asking for mistakes.
So, this whole mess, this all started to change in 5th century India. And it's all thanks to this one brilliant thinker who had a major light bulb moment. He realized the answer wasn't to leave a space, but to mark the space, to create an actual symbol for that nothing in the middle of a number. And that thinker, his name was Aryabhata. He was a mathematician and an astronomer, a real visionary first time. This guy was doing all kinds of incredible things. He got a pretty good approximation for pi, he studied how the Earth rotates. But for our story, his biggest, most revolutionary idea was to formalize the concept of a placeholder. Now get this, he didn't actually invent the zero symbol we use today, but what he did was maybe even more important. He created the intellectual need for it. He basically laid all the groundwork. All right, fast forward a couple of centuries, another Indian mathematician comes along, and he takes Aryabhata's already brilliant idea, and he just supercharges it. He's the one who's going to transform this simple placeholder into a real number with its own rulebook. This was Brahmagupta. You can think of him as the architect who really built the house of zero. He took it from just being this abstract idea and turned it into a fully working functional number. And he did that by being the very first person to write down the rules for how you can actually use it in math. And he laid out these fundamental rules that, honestly, we all learned in elementary school. Add zero, nothing changes. Subtract zero, still nothing changes. Multiply by zero, you get zero. It seems so simple to us now, right? Almost obvious. But back then, to be the first to actually define this, it was elegant, it was simple, and it was completely revolutionary. And then he did something really bold. He tackled the big, thorny question that mathematicians still debate. What happens when you try to divide by zero? His answer? He proposed that 0 divided by 0 equals 0. Now, we know today that's not quite right. Division by 0 is undefined. But just the fact that he even tried was huge. It showed he was treating 0 like a real legit number, something you could test and push to its limits, just like a 1 or a 2. So, with its rulebook written in India, this powerful new number was ready for the big time. It was about to go on a world tour, a journey that would end up changing, well, pretty much everything. Commerce, science, math, you name it. First, the idea traveled west. It landed in Baghdad at the incredible House of Wisdom, which was like the Silicon Valley of its day. That's where all these amazing Indian texts got translated. A few centuries later, in the 12th century, the famous Italian mathematician Fibonacci helped spring the whole system, including 0, to Europe. And this new Hindu-Arabic system, it was just so much better than the old clunky Roman numerals that it wasn't even a contest. It completely took over, and it totally revolutionized how people did business and science all across Europe. Okay, so that's a cool history lesson, but so what? Why should you care? What's the actual real-world impact of a number that, let's be honest, literally means nothing? Well, the short answer is pretty much everything you see around you. I mean it. Without 0, you don't get advanced algebra. No algebra means no calculus, which we need to figure out things like motion and change. And without all of that, modern physics, computer science, forget about it. They just wouldn't exist. Our entire modern world is basically standing on the shoulders of 0. But it's even deeper than just the math. This was a massive philosophical breakthrough. Think about it. For the first time ever, humans had a way to treat nothingness as a concrete thing. Something you could actually hold in your hand, mathematically speaking. Something you could use and calculate with and control. That is a wild, mind-bending shift in how we even think. And if you want to see its ultimate legacy, just look around. the device you're watching this on right now, the internet that brought it to you, our whole digital universe. It's all built on a ridiculously simple code of just 2 digits. 1 and 0. On and off. Yes and no. True and false. It all boils down to the incredible power of that little nothing.
So you see, it went from being a clever fix for a tricky math problem to becoming the literal backbone of our digital world. The story of zero really is the ultimate proof that sometimes nothing can change everything. And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other simple, revolutionary ideas are hiding out there right now, just waiting in plain sight for someone to notice?